Hey everybody, welcome to today's recording. So I was asked to play a little bit of this game. My current load of it was, I think, 217 hours played. I have no idea how long I've played this game, or how much. I really don't know. I have 414 in-game days on this account. I lost my first account due to a hard drive failure and had to reload. And I had to reload Steam. Don't really know. I've had a lot of fun with this game. This is an awesome game. Unless I get at least a few amount of chats and comments down below in the comment section, I really don't see me playing this game. How to put it? It's a great game. It's awesome. It's wonderful. I don't think I chat enough to play this game. I don't think there's enough to, for me anyways, to hold this as far as the game goes on a YouTube channel. You know what? I've never actually watched anybody play this game. I'll be quite honest, and maybe after I do this recording, I'll go watch somebody just to find out if there is an audience for this game. Like I said, it's a phenomenal game. I happen to love this game. I'll put a screenshot of my Steam achievements, 2017, 18. I mean, that's when I played. The friend of mine that asked me to do this knows that I drove truck for many, many, many years. I think I had a 36-year truck driving career. Roundabout, it might even be 38. I started driving when I was really, really young. It has been a long time since So this is a fully upgraded truck. It's got top-end engine as far as what I can afford and what I can do right now in the game. I commonly play this game 3-screened. It is a much better game. Personally, I don't know about anybody else, but when I play, I want to play with widescreen. I want to play across all three of my monitors. It's night and day. But the recording software, I tried it with OBS, and the recording software doesn't really like 3 monitors. Now, I got 3 27-inch widescreens. This is an awesome game when you have that much. I can't. I just can't. There's no describing it. It's night and day. And you know what I forgot to do? Find a job. So we're just going to do a regular job market. When you start this game, you start it without your own truck, without very much power, without a whole lot of things. And I've only made to 20th level in this, but I do have the heavy. I have all of the downloadable content and everything else for this game, of course. In my own trucking career, I have never done heavy haul. Now, I've hauled some equipment. I hauled an excavator working for a paving company. It was a small excavator. It wasn't a big one, but it was an excavator nonetheless. Or a hoe, depending on which your terminology is. But as far as whether I've ever done one of these big loads, one of the oil field, no. I've never done that much. Living in Alberta, I've seen many, many along my way driving truck, though. Well, we want distance this time. So I don't really want to... Seattle to Everett. Well, that's a short run. Okay, hang on. Let's go Los Angeles. Let's get something somewhat interesting anyways. So I'm a Canadian truck driver. I hauled extended length. I have what's called an LCV, which is a long combination vehicle ticket. I drove turnpikes between Edmonton and Calgary. I drove between Edmonton and Lloydminster before they twinned the highway and started accepting turnpikes all the way out to, say, Saskatoon and Regina. I drove Rockies up Highway 43 for anyone who's been in Alberta. Rockies up 43 before it was twinned. I was part of a pilot project back in the 90s for doing that. It was a lot of fun. You know what? That's a long trip. I don't think I can chat that much. Wow. These are long trips. That's a little shorter. Hauling diesel. Oh, there's 2 trailers. That's short. That's short enough. Let's do a paper run. So when I started in trucking, I started with a company called McKay Shows. I was 16 years old. They were a traveling carnival that used to basically Western Seaboard. I traveled with them for a fairly short period of time in the grand scope of things. When the actual driver would get tired, he'd ask me to drive. I got a little bit older, got my actual Class 1 when I was, it was just after I turned 18, a few years ago, just a couple. After I turned 18, I went up north and I swamped on a picker truck. And when the guy was, well, anybody who knows anything about drivers up north, when he was too drunk, I would end up driving. And it was okay. He was a cool guy. It was not the best job in the world, but it is what it is when you're starting out in trucking. From there, I bounced around for many years. Never really cared. I would work my winters and take my summers off. And me and friends and buddies would game in the summertime. And then I would disappear for the winter. And I'd go back up north and I'd drive or swamp or whatever. Did that, I would say, early to mid-20s. And then I met my wife. And she said she didn't want me doing anything dangerous. So that kind of cuts out the oil field, now don't it? Bounced around doing city jobs. Working for City P&D, doing LTL, local stuff. That's where I achieved my LCV. Had a lot of fun with it, to be honest with you, over the years. I ended up working for paving companies, construction companies, hauling equipment, hauling all sorts of stuff around. It was a lot of fun. It was. I don't like city driving, to be honest with you. I mean, even driving around the city here, this sucks. Okay. Well, anyways, I was never a city P&D guy. I did it when I was younger. I drove body job, like anyone else. I worked for another show service company that did trade shows, and it was a great company. It was one of the largest in Western Canada, and we did the big shows. That trade show you went to, where you went to I don't know, we called it the Agricom, but a very large building with a lot of booths, carpet in the middle of the aisleway, and each booth had a salesman or some product or something they were selling. Okay, well, we used to set up the drapes and the carpets and the tables and the little furniture that you could rent and all that fun stuff. And we did large shows and we did small shows. And I used to pack up a 5-ton truck. It had a split shift differential in it. It was a 10-speed. It was a fun truck to drive, quite honestly. It was a fun truck to drive. It didn't have air brakes. It had hydraulic brakes. So this was an 84 L9000. It's going back a few years. I could be wrong on the number. But then I progressed and went up and worked my way up into the big trucks and drove end dump, drove a float. It's an equipment hauler. I'm probably going to be talking to a couple of truck drivers might actually check this out. So, scissor lift, double drop, trombone, step deck, step deck and trombone step deck. Mostly van. I never liked decks. Having to tarp is just depending upon what the temperature and what the weather is out. And that's for me. It's northern Canada here, so tarping at -40 in the wintertime is just not a good day. I don't care what you're tarping. It's just not a good day. So I did do Super Bs. I did do decks. It was a lot of fun. I've driven a lot of different equipment over the years. Worked a lot of different jobs, a lot of different people I've worked for. Did probably 6 or 7 years of the Rockies, hauling into BC, in and around through. Lots of fun. I don't know. Mountains, they got a show out called Highway Through Hell. I can't watch it. When I drove from Edmonton to Vancouver, at first we took the canyon, because that's all there was as options, was the canyon. So that means the Snake Pit, that means Gate Mountain, that means that way, through Hope. Well, they both come through Hope, but the other way through Hope. When they opened up the Coquihalla, fun trip, yeah, no arguments, but that was a very tame highway compared to the canyon. If you could run the canyon, that said something. It was paper, wasn't it? Yep. So, when the Coquihalla opened up, I was running a team run to Vancouver. I didn't like my partner at the time. I was trying to get my brother driving truck at the time. He had bounced around, done a few things, and decided that truck driving would be decent. And he drove for many years. So when we would go through the Coquihalla, and for the year, I think I did Vancouver. It was good times. But we never ran into that much trouble. So when I watch a show like, Highway Through Hell, I'm not putting down any drivers here, but, come on. You go screaming through there like a bat out of hell in the middle of winter, and I have nothing to say to you other than you're a moron. And seeing as how I've never seen the ditch, I did tip a trailer over. Official is not my fault. Unofficially, my fault. But when you can traverse mountains, I can make it out before him, can't I? No. When you can traverse mountains for years. The other run I did was up to Whitehorse, and I also did Rupert. So that's quite a few highways through some of the steepest and roughest country in Canada, anyways. I didn't do a lot out east, but when it comes right down to it, we have the tallest mountains. Can't say much to the weather in eastern Canada. So, you can get into trouble in Manitoba. It's like if there's any place that's flatland, it's Manitoba in Canada. And, weather-wise, you can run into trouble. So, just to say that I did mountains doesn't really say anything. I was driving a 48-foot van, extremely badly loaded. I actually have pictures of it. Laid it over just after a hairpin when I was, I can't remember how old I was. Somewhere in my 20s, late 20s. Anyway, taught me a lot. Never had any problems since then. Drove oil field for a long time. Adverse weather conditions, northern Saskatchewan, northern Alberta, Northwest Territories, and the Yukon. and BC, of course. Seen just about everything that the weather has to offer. It's, like I said, been a lot of fun. It's been a fun career. I recently retired from truck driving. Okay, we'll just turn that down. When I decided that I didn't want to drive truck anymore, it was my wife was happy. She was losing me for 6 months a year. I was pretty much living in a truck. I was hauling cement for the oil field, cement return bins. Great job, great company, no arguments. They were good to me when it comes right down to it. They did what they could, anyways. You know, I don't expect anything else out of them. And I worked my arse off. I took care of an entire oil field company, a large one for northern Canada. 76 wells over a season, and I was doing 48 bins per well, and pretty much doing it by myself. That division, anyways. A lot of fun. A lot of a lot of fun. To me, driving is more listening to the radio, winding your hair, freedom, not having to answer to anybody. I mean, as long as you make your destination, really you don't have a lot that you're. It's not like, I don't know, what can I compare it to? Let's say a warehouse job. Boss is around. I'm not saying he's a bad boss. I'm not saying he's a good boss. I'm just saying the boss is around. In truck driving, you get your orders. You know what I mean? Here's your truck. Here's the keys. Go pick up your trailer over there, or go pick up your load over there. You know, trailer's already hooked, not hooked. There's a couple different parameters, but then it's go. And if you are good and you run your own truck, and then you're a good businessman on top of that, you can make good money doing this job. Even in today's economy, I know, the glory days of trucking are gone. The 1970s, the 80s even were fairly decent. I watched uncles, I watched friends make a lot of money. You were never home. It took a certain kind of guy to drive truck and do it for long haul and long time and be successful at it. It took quite a bit. But, I don't know, fun career. I wasn't stuck in an office looking at a window, I'll tell you that much. My window always moved. My scenery always changed. I was still sitting there. I was still pushing a pencil across a piece of paper and through a logbook, but I never actually used electronic logs. In case anyone wants to, like the last company I worked for, it was driving long. I was 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2.5. I was still on paper logs. Due to the downfall in the oil field, you know, in the teens and in 2014, 15, and then subsequent, you know, you're looking at COVID comes in, all that. I was the only driver at the company. And because I was the only driver at the company, we didn't need to run electronic logs. And so I ran paper logs. Certain amount of freedom with paper logs, isn't there? Cough, cough. Chuckle, chuckle. And I don't mean loose leaf. I just mean paper logs. I mean, they're literally paper logs. I have no arguments with it, to be honest with you. I don't think I could do electronic logs. Oh, sure. Nice. So, I can't remember what my wheel is. Logitech G30 something. I got the 3 pedals: clutch, brake, fuel. I have the separate stick. I went out and got and I don't know the name of it. Gico. It's got the blue button, but it's not a low induction. Anybody who's driven truck knows what I'm talking about. At least if you've driven proper truck. Anyone out there ever done low induction, high induction, or over and under? Yeah. So I got myself set up on an 18 speed. I should turn up the truck sounds a little bit. I'm hearing something in the background. I got my stuff turned way down low. Okay, hang on. I gotta turn the sounds up a bit here. Okay, radio volume, nothing. Interior sounds. Master volume. That ought to do it. What is that sound? Huh. That's weird. Okay. It's like I got a wheel noise. Like a grinding sound. That's weird. Huh. It's almost like my truck is making noises. Very strange. Anyway, the life on the highway is different, and I'm guessing it's different in every country. I've driven the States, Western Seaboard professionally. Never went, I'm going to say, east of the Dakotas in a big truck. But when me and my wife went on vacation, I drove our camper van. We have a conversion. Drove that all the way down to New York. One of my bucket lists was to drive Manhattan traffic in rush hour. We overheated, and I did so. Yeah, no, I had fun. Visited some friends down there, some gaming friends. Long-term buddy of mine. But it was a lot of fun. It was the drive down was anybody that's watching from the States, you guys have awesome highways. I mean, wow. The difference, I mean, I drove it as a teen, but I'll be honest with you, because I was teen then, I never noticed the rest stops, how they work, basically how awesome your highways are. I never noticed when I was a teen. I was too young for it. But when I drove down there in my 40s, wow. I still got a hum that I don't remember. I don't remember that hum. Oh, I remember that hum in a big truck. Yeah, there's always a hum in a big truck, but I just don't remember it in this game. Well, anyways, so I drove, I think about 2.5, 3 years in the States. And watch my speed here. Chatting too much. When and you'll notice I have mine set to kilometers, everybody. Yes, I know. I'm an irritating Canadian. Yes, yes. When I drove, when I came back from the States and I started driving Canada again, the difference was night and day. I mean, I can name a few highways back in the day where there was no rest stops. I mean, there just wasn't. And yet, there's pretty much a rest stop. What? I think me and my wife, we both commented on it. Because I've taken her in the truck with me a few times over the years. And, yeah. The difference between your highways and a Canadian highway is night and day. I don't mean just environmentally. I mean, yeah, Canadian highways take a rough beating, you know, with the frosties and the permafrost and it getting as cold as it does, and then warm and then cold, and then the ice and yada yada yada. Yeah. Oh, drive. Glad I'm not doing this on World of Trucks. I probably wouldn't want to. I have done World of Trucks, by the way, and I do a fairly decent job at it. I don't swerve too often, and you know, keep myself in check and all that fun stuff. But so there was a time when I drove turnpikes from Edmonton in northern Alberta over to Lloydminster, which is on the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan, and I dropped my B box, and then I would carry on with my A box into Saskatoon, town in central-ish Saskatchewan. It's a little south of central, but central-ish Saskatchewan. And I would drop there, and then I'd have to pick up eggs and bring that egg trailer back, and then hook it up to the B box that I dropped in Lloyd, because it was empty by that time, so they had emptied it, and then drive back home. And the drive from Lloydminster to Saskatchewan or Saskatoon is probably, oh dude, I'm going by memory here, but that drive is in a big truck probably 4 hours. I could be wrong, might be a little bit more, depending on how you're driving. And back then the speed limits were 90 in places, 90k, and 100 only in a few select places because the highway was so terrible, and it wasn't twinned. It's now 110 the whole way, and it's a decent highway, well, decent enough. But back then, no, it was a single highway, single 2-lane highway, and it might as well have been, compared to the States, it might as well have been a defunct secondary that you guys hadn't like paid attention to in 20 years. That was about the condition of that highway. So you didn't travel it fast anyways. Well, anyways, long story short, there was no rest stops, everybody. I mean, like, no place to pull a big truck over, you know, go to a bathroom, enjoy, if you were into burgers or whatever, because as I recall it, just about every single interstate, which that would be, comparatively, it would be an interstate. It's called the Yellowhead. It's one of our major highways, so it would be equivalent to an interstate, and it was just junk. It was a very decrepit, very well, lacking in services. Oh, there was a couple of towns along the way. I can remember a couple just inside the Saskatchewan border, but you couldn't stop at them. Like, one of them didn't allow trucks to stop on the siding, you know, on the service road. You couldn't park a truck in there. They didn't want you there, basically. Okay, alrighty, thank you very much. You know, so glad we can bring you services and stuff, and you don't want my, you know, but you don't want my money. You don't want my business. The concept has changed quite a bit in years, but it's still basically the same. Driving the oil field in like northern Alberta, northern Saskatchewan, it's a different creature. There's still no place to go get anything. I mean, you better have your proverbial shtick together before you get on that road. I can remember a road, it's called the AOC Road, Athabasca Oil Corporation Road, and it's way up north, and it's just to the, basically go to Fort Mackay, or just before Fort Mackay, up northern Alberta, like way north of Fort McMurray, and take a left, and then like a right and a left and a right and a left, and then you get to a security station. And it's all in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the guy drove there every day, obviously. But he looks at me and he says, "Okay, you got about 2.5 hour drive ahead of you. If you're not there in 4, we'll come looking for you." And I'm like, "Really? Okay." He goes, "Yeah, you got about 90K. So 90 kilometers. Okay, no problem. That's not that bad." But he says, "You'll get there in 2.5 hours. So I'm like, "Really?" Well, that's average is about 40 kilometers an hour. Roundabout anyways. You know, get 90K. Well, I'm lucky if I could hold 30 on that road. Crossed a lake, Going in wasn't too big. My bins were empty. Coming out, a little different story. You go across ice with 100,000 pounds of cement on you. You start to pucker things up a little bit. But been there, done that. Worked for Imperial Oil. Worked for Husky before they got bought out by Synovus. Worked for AOC, of course. I worked for Black Pearl before they got bought out by Interprovincial Pipeline Corporation, I think it was. There's a lot of conglomerations, buyouts, mergers, all sorts of stuff happening in the oil field up here. It is what it is. So companies that you used to work for, you no longer work for them. I can't even remember. That was a long time ago. A lot of private companies and private contractors and whatnot, when you're talking Northwest Territories and way up there, you go up the Klondike, the Dempster, you get up to places like Inuvik, Kentucky. That's a lot of private contractors because companies don't really want to go up there. Not that it doesn't happen, of course, but... Well, that was 30 years ago anyway. Way station. Am I going to have to pull in? You want to talk to me today, Mr. DOT? I never had to pull into a way station in the States. Now, here's how I pulled that one off. Bypass. Bypass. See ya. Have a safe journey. Thank you. When I drove the States, I was a little bit too young. I'm not going to get into the legalities of it. I mean, yeah, I was way too young. Well, anyway, I didn't notice it went to 105. The guy I was driving with that got me to drive when he was tired, he knew all the roads. And he's like, okay, we passed this, we've done this, we're here or we're there, you drive now. It's like, okay, alrighty, cool, sounds good to me. And so I never actually had to go through a scale house, through a chicken coop in the States. Lots of times in Alberta. I didn't get fined too heavily over the years. I don't know. I had some rocks on a fender once. They tagged me for loose load. No, what was it again? Oh, I can't remember the charge. It's been so long. 121. Oh, I should be honking on it. The game runs fairly decently when it comes to legalities and what. I mean, it's I find it to be pretty cool. The horsepower ratios of pulling something up a hill. I mean, this truck is decked right out. And if I wasn't chatting and whatnot, I probably would have been driving a little bit faster, but apparently I'm schlepping out here and I'm getting caught behind traffic. The van running in Canada, I don't think is all that much different than anywhere else in the world. I mean, you hook up to it, you load it. Sometimes it's yours, sometimes it's the company's. And sometimes it's what I mean by that is sometimes it's the company you're driving for. And sometimes it's the company you're hauling for. Meaning you're driving for I've had about enough of these guys. I'm supposed to do 121. I find the trailers that are owned by people, like private contractors, owner-operators, they're in really good shape. Until you run into guys that don't make very much money. The food hauling service in Canada right now is just, wow. And I'm not absolutely sure. This guy in front of me is hauling ours. I'm not absolutely sure, but it seems to me they came in, they bought cheap trucks, run down, junky stuff, you know what I mean, that wasn't worth anything, and then turned around and undercut their buddy, and undercut the people that we're working with and working against, and you know, basically fellow drivers. There was no camaraderie between them. We used to chat back in the 80s. We used to chat on CBs all the time. UHF hadn't actually come out at that point in time. We were all still on the Cobra Super, you know, in the tweaked and boosted CBs with, you know, extended antennas. And then the UHF came out, and it basically trounced all that. And now Lad 1 up in Canada here is filled with just garbage. I mean, most of the time I didn't even listen to it. When I was on a owned road or a oil field roads and whatnot, or I was up on the logging roads and whatnot, yeah, you listen to your radio and you call out your kilometers. But other than that, when I finally got off that road, like the ANC road or whatever, Alberta News Corporation road, I would shut my radio off because I really just didn't want to hear the garbage that was coming over it. It was, isn't that the guys I'm hauling for right now? Plaster and Sons? It must have been the other load. Hey, buddy. Oh, that's not a very good horn. Where the heck did I get that one? What the? Oh, that's a horrible horn. Does not feel like a car. Anyway, when you get off those regulated roads, monitored roads, I don't know about you guys, but I just, the chatter out there wasn't as good as it was back in the 80s, back in the 90s. And it somewhere fell apart in the new millennium, in the 2000s. It just fell apart. Guys just started, you know, basically bitching at each other. And it just became a bitch fest. Which, well, my wife used to call trucking companies and the people that work in them a bunch of hens. Because all they ever did was big, and bitch and complain and moan and whine about the next guy and how he got the better route and how come this and how come that. I mean, I could be wrong. I didn't work for all the companies out there. I bet you there's some good ones. The most recent company I worked for was pretty cool. But I worked as a yard man for it. Decent company. I liked them. I wish I didn't have to leave them, but the knee was not happy with that job. Running a shunt truck, to me, is an easy job. Backing up a trailer, simple thing. I've been doing it most of my life. Actually, you know what? I probably should have grabbed a single trailer so that I could show off some of my backup skills. I have my parking set to hard on this. Just cause. And of course I hate getting tickets, which is why I'm doing 98 and 105 zone, but we won't go there. I find the roads to be decent shape in this, like size-wise, sorry. Go drive Vancouver, anybody. And I don't mean the highway to Vancouver or some of the highways in Vancouver. I mean, go step off a highway and go stick yourself onto like Marine Drive or Boundary Drive or, yeah, these places in Vancouver. Narrow, holy narrow streets. It's almost like South Manhattan. Lower Manhattan, they call it, yeah. Not south, because it would be east. I actually don't remember my orientation in New York, but they call it Lower Manhattan, old part of Manhattan, right where the financial district is and whatnot. The roads down there are made for horses and carriages, buggies, like horses and buggies, as I recall the story I was being told. I would not want to be there with a big truck. I just wouldn't. No thanks. I mean, I've made it in and out of some pretty nasty alleyways with some trailers that just never should have been you know, like what the hell am I doing here with this? And I did okay. I was made it in and out, and I never cracked up a trailer. So, but still, Lower Manhattan just looked like. Yeah, I'm just gonna. I do not trust the AI in this program, in this game. I just don't. It's no thanks. They seem to do dumb things once in a while. Not to say that I don't do dumb things once in a while, but hey, I think I still got that out. Yes, I do. I still have my high beams. And I remembered the button, too. Wow. Yeah, it's been a little while since I drove this. And I probably should have slept so that it wasn't 2 o'clock in the morning when I did this. What is it again? F5? No. Is it F5? Yes, it is. No, that's the... There we go. Destination expected Wednesday at 0:52. So I got a long way to go. I'm going to sleep. Let's go to there, yeah. As I've been driving all over the road with my eyes not on the road. Yes. Safe driving. I run, in case you're watching the whatchamacallit go by in the bottom. I have like every garage in the place, I think. And all of them are filled. They're all full. So all my drivers are in, all of my drivers have trucks. Everything's all done up. Most of them are fairly experienced. The job or the company end of this runs a little bit too auto for me. I should have to pay a manager in this, to be honest with you. I don't know whether anybody's ever going to pay attention to my gameplay, seeing as I'm... Hey, like I said, you guys want to see more of this, leave me tons of comments and tell me you actually want to see me drive a truck down a road. Because otherwise I just don't. I don't see it, everybody. I don't. I mean, I have fun playing this game, and I don't have fun hauling these loads. Because, what's the view again? No. Come on. There we go. Yeah. So, I don't haul these. When I play, it's normally the heavy hauls, the big loads. The oil-filled loads, the big equipment. What the hell happens to this road that I'm going to go take off to the left right away? Okay, alrighty. I probably could have taken it a lot faster. It says 55, suggested, yellow sign, but I'll still take it at 55. The, oh, and I see a rest stop. Can I take that rest stop? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm not used to gabbing and driving truck. I don't do so well on the gaming end of things either. I'm getting used to it. For anybody who's watched anything else in my channel. Sometimes when I play a lot with my wife. Well, she would never pretty much drive truck with me. It's just not something... Oh, you know what? I should have taken the other way. This is not going to go well. This really isn't. Should have taken the other one because then I could fuel. I'm a dumbass and that's okay. Give me 40 acres and I'll turn this truck around. Oh, this is going to be fun. How to totally mess up and get yourself out of trouble. I cannot remember where I was. I'm going to laugh my ass off at myself in post-production when I go to edit this video. Couldn't keep your mind on things, eh? Nope. This game has come a long way, though. I cannot remember when I first started playing this game. It was many, many years ago, though. My wife used to laugh at me because I would drive truck for, you know, hours, days, weeks, months on end. And then every once in a while, I mean, I've only got 217 hours on this. I'm just, it could be double that. Oh, I'm not absolutely sure on the amount of time I have, only because of, you know, losing hard drive, blah blah blah. I already mentioned it. But I'm just going to guess it because double the time. So I'm just going to say 400. So I mean, I know there's probably guys out there with thousands of hours in this game, and their maps are fully explored. I recall my first save. I had fuel stop. I really need to get fuel and then sleep. Can I get into that one? So I don't need to go up to the other one. Let's get into this one. When I first started playing this game, it had one state. I started on Euro Truck Simulator because this wasn't out yet. The American Truck Simulator, they hadn't finished it. It wasn't done. I had heard about it, obviously, and I knew that I was going to get it as soon as it came out, but it wasn't out yet. So I played Euro Truck for, under 100 hours. Gotta be. I can probably go take a look real quick. But I'm thinking under 100 hours. It wasn't that long. But I would come home from work, and, after basically putting in, sometimes 90-hour weeks driving wherever. That wasn't just the patch. It was many other jobs that I drove that long and did that kind of work for. And I drove my own truck for a little bit here and there. I did it twice. I didn't fail both times. My truck was sold for a good $1. I drove it well. It just, the company, the contract, the broker that I was working for, well, one time, me and the broker did not see eye to eye. It was, is that a mechanic? Yeah, that's a truck center. Really don't want to pull this in there. I think the other one had more room. Me and the broker didn't see eye to eye, so it wasn't going to happen. And I knew it wasn't going to happen, and I didn't just whatever, walked away from it. And yes, I did just go through that red light. Me and the broker didn't see eye to eye. I'm going to leave it at that. If you've ever worked for a broker, you might know what I'm talking about. The other time, it was the 2008 crash. And oh well. I'm going to line that up with, well, shit happens. How's that sound? But I was able to sell the truck and get out with my pants intact. And after that, I didn't want to work for myself anymore. I did fairly well each time. Oops. But I found I actually don't mind working for a company when I got a decent dispatcher. After I sold that truck, I actually ended up dispatching for an Edmonton company for a little bit here. It was a city P&D company. We handled upwards of 500 calls a day with a fairly small dispatch crew. A bunch of people answering phones. Oh, don't tell me I can't sleep here. Ha. fairly small dispatch crew. Oh, am I going to make it out of here now? Or did I turn too sharp? Come on. The company was good. Some of the people weren't great, like usual. No, nothing bad to say about anyone. It is what it is. Why does that? Okay, I can still. Okay. I found that I had too much of an attitude for a lot of people in trucking. Maybe it was because of my amount of years. Maybe it was because of me. Who knows? And nor do I care. I found that people wanted me to do really, really stupid things behind the wheel of a truck, and I would say, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, you only need 4 hours off. Oh, really? I'm sorry, that was pre-2007 Canadian logging laws. And yeah, I only needed 4 hours off. Yeah, once per week. And then after I did it, I had to have X amount of time off. And then they changed the logging laws after 2007. And then I still got the same thing from dispatchers. Well, you only need 8 hours off. No, sorry. I need as much as my body says I need. And dispatchers did not agree with me on that one. Well, I went head to head a couple times with a few dispatchers. And then they would meet my wife. She got me fired from 1 or 2 jobs over the years. That was kind of funny to watch her work. Because she's all real nice and whatnot until she's not. And then, yeah. I can remember a couple bosses going, "Oh, please just don't let me have to deal with your wife." Yeah, no problem. I know, she's a very nice person. Just don't piss her off. And I can remember a couple of guys, dispatchers, just pissing her off. Now, this looks much better in the daytime. Now, I'm not absolutely sure where I got my graphics set to. Like I said, I normally have this stretched across 3 screens. I don't normally play on a single screen. Coastline mining. I'm really hesitant because I haven't played a lot of this. When I compare myself to other people in the world, okay, I know there's some guys that have played this like extensively. They got, like I say, thousands of hours in this game. I've got a couple hundred, but I have. Well, I was asked this question once. I don't have an answer for it. The question was, how many miles do I got under my belt? Okay. So, the average driver, and I have to do this in kilometers, I can't do it in miles. The average driver in Canada, okay, adhering to Canadian logging laws, past and present, pre-2007, post-2007, can go about, this is a roundabout, depending upon the job you're doing, depending upon the route you're running, how hard you're running, and how long your body can put up with it. Okay. The average, to me, anyways, is about 1,000 kilometers a day. It's low for some, high for others. I know there's days when I was doing the oil field where I think I might put 300 kilometers on a truck. Really, truly, in a day, you might put 300 kilometers on a truck. But you were doing a lot of waiting. You were, stuck. So that kind of, the whole, how much OTR do you have, on the road experience do you have? To me, it's years. I have 36 years. I was very close to 37 when it come right down to it, and I just didn't want to do it no more. Sorry. call it whatever you want. I just didn't want to be out there. I wasn't making enough. I kept getting screwed by dispatchers or by brokers or by the company owner that I was driving for, or when I ran my own, it was the mechanic that I had to deal with. And then they came up with this, how do I term this? Really awesome system for Southern North America. Yeah, it's called the DPF. Yeah, that system. Anybody who's had to deal with it in warmer climates, hey, not a problem. And in the summer, truly not a problem. Seriously, no issues. Summertime, DEF systems are, it's a diesel exhaust fluid is the DEF or the DPF system. It adds fluid into your exhaust to make your exhaust burn clean. And I mean, I can attest to the fact that the system does work. We started up a truck in a shop, really big shop, 22 bay shop. But we started up, it was a Pete that I was running. It had an ISX engine in it, full, well-working DPF system. But we were just trying to warm up the truck a little bit. Well, some other things happened, and I ended up leaving the truck and having to go down the road and go do this. And I jumped into the pickup truck, and be honest with you, I totally forgot that the truck was running. Well, it ran fairly quiet. I mean, for a full-sized ISX, chipped out to what, 550 or 5 1/4 horsepower? It might even be higher, but I'm just conservatively, it was chipped out to that. I mean, this was a full-size engine. And yet it was fairly quiet, and nobody paid attention to it. You could not smell exhaust when you smelled something, yes. And you did smell exhaust, but you smelled burnt off exhaust, or however you want to term that. So the DPF or the DEF system does work. No arguments. Yeah, you try getting that system to work at -50. Good luck with that. The DEF fluid freezes at like -7 or 8. Like I said, works well in southern climes. Yep, you go right ahead. I believe it was California that brought in the system, and I have heard good things from people out of the States. They're all like, oh, no, I've never had a problem, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good for you. Awesome. And then they run Canada for a bit in the winter. And they're just like, what's going on with my truck? And why do I keep getting derated? And why am I doing this? And why is this happening? Welcome to the cold. Plain and simple. Welcome to the cold. So, does it work? Yes, it does. And like I said, I can attest to that. It does make diesel fluid burn clean. I mean, it pretty much got Caterpillar out of the engine making business. And I understand why. Probably too long of a conversation for this one. And then, hey, I'm just saying third-party news when I do talk about that kind of stuff. It's things I've heard. But basically what I heard is that Cat did not want to run their engines that hot. They didn't want to totally rebuild or remake and re-engineer their engines, so they said, forget it. We're not going to do it. So 33 tons. That's pretty low. Catch a break this time. As I've heard it, engines run really well in the warmth when they never freeze, when the DEF tanks don't freeze. We had to put a heating blanket on mine. We also ran tarps in the wintertime, so we'd run a tarp underneath the truck so that the bottom of the truck didn't freeze. Stuff like ball joints and whatnot. We had to put other stuff we had to do. When you've run basically an ice road, and don't think ice road. Okay, So there's 3 kinds of ice roads. There is the kind of road looks just like this one, and in the wintertime it has ice on it. Okay, it's an ice road. You're still dancing on ice, so it's still an ice road. But you could more often call it an icy road. Better way of calling it. Then there's the northern muskeg roads. These are tundra. You still get trees. You're not above the tree line. You're still below what? The 50th parallel? You know, you're still below... yeah, you're still below the tree line. That's the best way to call it. You're in the tundra, in the muskeg. You're dancing that fine line between whether there's... and the trees are different up there. They're not the same. It's not the same kind of bush. It's not boreal forest. I don't know, the only way to call it is it's muskeg country. So in the summertime, the muskeg turns to mush and you can't drive in it. Doesn't happen. Never gonna happen. Yeah, there's some exploratory vehicles that go up there. Some extremely light, wide-tracked vehicles that do a lot of surveying and such up there. They almost look like ice crawlers. It's not very many and it's not too often because of the amount of destruction they do to the bush when they go do their thing. So they wait for the winter and then they go in with snowmobiles. And that seems to be a better way of doing things. They don't wreck as much bush. They still get their job done. And they, basically do their thing for the next year. And then the place that they surveyed last year, you go into the next year and that kind of thing. Well, anyway, an ice road is made of ice. They go in early in the season when it first starts to get cold, and you run water trucks with a spread bar at the back of it. And you basically spread water on the muskeg, and it freezes it, which makes a road. When you do water crossings, they're thickened, if you want to call it that. You have to slow your speed down for each one of the water crossings because it's raised up. They pour extra water across all the creek crossings and whatnot. A lot of those creeks, like those little tiny ones and whatnot, they're all froze up anyways. There's not like there's running water underneath it. You still have to, like when you cross the Mackenzie to go up to Yellowknife, that can be interesting. There's times you can't use it. It's too nice out. And the Mackenzie never totally freezes. It's too big of a river. Northern Alberta heading up to the Northwest Territories, up to Yellowknife. There's a lot of mines and such up there. I think, if memory serves, we were De Beers. And we would do a transfer to the guy that actually went up there. Never crossed the Mackenzie myself, other than on the Klondike going up the Dempster, that direction. Can't remember whether you crossed the Mackenzie going that way. It's been too many years. Vowed I would never go up and do that again after I did it my first 3 years. I think the third year I'm like, I've had enough of this. This job is just too much bullshit, too much crap. Don't get paid enough. We drank slough water mixed with bleach. The camps were just the shits. It was the 80s. It was an era of not enough rules, not enough regulations, and now I have no idea how it is. I don't know. And I didn't care because I didn't go back. The most northern I made it in the last 20 years was north of Fort McKay. That's northern Alberta getting into the Northwest Territories, and I crossed into the Yukon doing the Alcan, the Alaska-Canada Highway, Highway 97 North. Don't remember what the American number is, but I do know that out of Canada it's 97 North. Hauled food up to Whitehorse. Did that for quite a few years. Lots of pictures, lots of good times doing that. Drove with my brother up there. He was fun to drive with. They straightened out that highway a lot since we did it. I can't remember how many years ago it was now, 15, 18 years ago. It's been a while. It's been a long while. So they They took out some of the corners. there was some corners up there. There was a couple of hills and a couple of corners up there that were a lot of fun. Too many tourists. Way too many. 2-lane highway, no meridian, and people are stopping for animals. Really? You're kidding me. Really? Like, really? You're stopping for animals. You're blocking the highway, stopping for a picture of a ram or something. You know, some fairly common animal that... Really? Sheep? Okay. Yeah, we used to get pretty, I'll be honest, pissed off. I'd fly by, honk my horn, scare those animals into the bush, and flip them the bird as I drove by. I'm sorry, you're stupid enough to stop on a 2-lane, no meridian highway. No place to stop. Yeah, okay. So stay in your car, slow down, snap a quick pic, and that's it. Don't stop and have a siesta and have, pull out the barbecue and have smokies at the side of the road. Not a good place for it. So, but anyway, yeah, fun times up there. Stone Mountain, Muncho Lake, great. Oh, the scenery up there. Took my wife up there for a run. She had a lot of fun. She loved it. Part of it was in nighttime because we didn't have the joy of sleeping, you know what I mean, so that we could, enjoy the run. It was business. And took my brother out to Prince Rupert out on west coast of Canada, west coast of BC, but Canada. And he ended up loving the place so much that he still lives out there. Drove truck from there. He did a fish run, seafood run from there down to San Francisco for many years. He ran that run. He had fun at it. He liked it. Uh-oh. Don't drink and drive. The 34,000. Nice income. Yeah, no doubt you leveled. Sabrina C. Good going. $34,000. Nice. Leadfoot Larry. Surprised I haven't gotten a ticket. Well, the one Smokies on the road there in between the divided highway back there. I look down at my speed. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm doing 8 under. Woohoo. Well, anyway, the my lights off again. Oh, they're on. The road up to Whitehorse was not something you slept on. From Edmonton to Whitehorse, it's 26 hours roundabout to get there, so it's 54 hours up and back. We pushed it pretty freaking hard to make it in 26 hours, meaning we did Stone Mountain at 90 kilometers an hour when it was supposed to be 80. That's a provincial park up there. We did Muncho far too quickly for what you're supposed to. City. Okay, alrighty. I can't wait for Canada to be added to this. Now, I know there's mods that you can run in this game that can take you up to Canada. What? Did I miss a turnoff? I did. I'm gabbing too much. Failure. The video I have running in the upper right-hand corner is of an oil field road up north, south of Fort McMurray, but it's still up in the Muskeg. I put it up while I was talking about the Muskeg. I just left it there. If anyone's been paying attention to it, I might have hit 60 kilometers an hour on that road. Multiple ice bridges. I'm not running chains because I'm not allowed, and it's a Muskeg ice road. Okay, this is cool. So they knew I was going to screw up, did they? Gave me my own lane to screw up on. Nice. See, this is America for you. They wouldn't have done this in Canada. They would have looked at you and said, "Schlap, you failed." I don't see any traffic coming. Okay, let's see how badly I screwed up and where I screwed up. And normally in a truck, I don't use the clutch, by the way. I have no choice in this game. I have to use the clutch. They don't give you any other choice. Okay, so I wasn't that far off. One exit. So they must have added tire noise to this game. Because that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing my tires on the road. An Eagles song comes to mind. Or maybe I didn't miss... Yeah, I missed it. I flubbed it. Absolutely, I flubbed it. Because I could have went on that exit and come underneath. So yeah, I messed it up. Well, you guys are just going right through that red light. Did I miss something there? By the way, I made my middle mouse button my forward view so that I can do view, like look back and forth, right? And then you just push the middle mouse button and then you let go of the mouse. I found that the easiest way. Ooh, what happened there? Not paying attention to your gears. The, oh, now I'm running red. But it was yellow when I entered the intersection, Ossifer. The, conclusion of the run. Because, yeah. So, thanks for joining me on this trip of a bit of nostalgia. I'm going to put some pictures on the screen. I was thinking of it as I'll show you some of the places I've been and make this trip a little bit more interesting. If this is actually something you want to see me play on this channel, I'll take on one of the heavy loads. Okay, I'll because I have that. I have all of the downloads for this. I have all of the DLC. I have a lot of fun with this game, everybody. I really do. I have no idea how many hours I have in it. I just don't. Losing the hard drive, losing my first, whatchamacallit. I have 440 some days and 217 hours. That doesn't compute. I used to also play on my laptop, and my laptop is never connected to the internet in the many years I've owned it. Yes, I know. I used to connect it to update like operating system and sound and graphics cards and whatnot, but then I would go out of town and I'd be way up north out in the bush and whatnot, and I wouldn't have internet. And I have a PC, so why would I play my laptop at home when I've got a PC to play at home? So I've got different numbers on my laptop for games, because you can play a lot of the other games I played. Factorio, it's I got thousands of hours in that one, and I don't even know how much in that one because I played a lot of it on my laptop while I was out driving truck and roaming around the oil field and whatnot, never near an internet connection. And I used to play this on my laptop using the WASD keys. So I really don't think you can hook up with World of Trucks and whatnot. And I don't even know if you can play this anymore. But I know at one point in time I played it. It was doable. Now you're going to give me an easy park, aren't you guys? Road closed ahead. Really? Okay. Road closed. Aha. Open for business. Yeah, they gave me an easy one. So I can't show off my backup skills. Oh well. So I'd like to thank you for joining me on this little trip of nostalgia. And I will be playing this game, just whether I record it and, put it out to the channel is going to be solely dependent upon you guys. I mean, over and above the views it might get, if none of you guys ever leave me a message and say, hey, I want to hear more stories and I want to, all the rest of that. Nice. What are we going to do? Let's go higher value cargo. Yes, I do. So, real quick here. Thanks for joining me. If you like this kind of thing, hey, like, subscribe, all the rest of that fun stuff. And if you want to see more of this, I don't normally play this for the channel. I'm more survival base building factory for the channel because I think I can be more instructional. I can be more, I can teach you something. So I don't know whether you learned something today about northern truck driving and something from an old fart like me. But hey, if I've passed on some knowledge, great, fantastic. If you got any questions, hey, please, lay them down. I don't mind answering questions. I really don't. And if you want more, hey, leave me a message. It's got to be more than one of you, though. Well, I don't know. If one person messages and says, hey, I want to see you haul this from Portland to Newport, then, okay, all righty. We'll do it. Not a problem. I have fun with it. But for now, until the next time, and what was it, in between time, you guys have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.